Here's a quick review of Fly Me to the Moon. It's a romantic comedy directed by Greg Berlanti. It stars Scarlett Johansson, who's one of the producers of this movie, as well as Channing Tatum. It's a fictional retelling of events surrounding and leading up to the Apollo 11 space mission that had led to the first moon landing. Scarlett Johansson plays Kelly Jones. She's his hotshot ad executive in New York. She's a lot like Don Draper from the Mad Men show in more ways than one. She gets recruited by Woody Harrelson's G-Man character, and she goes to Florida and leads the PR effort to generate public interest in the space mission as well as government funding. Channing Tatum plays Cole Davis. He's this very straight-laced fighter pilot turned longtime flight director. So Scarlett's Kelly Jones' character, she's good at her job. Eventually, she gets tasked with overseeing a production to fake a moon landing that will be broadcast to the world in case the real moon landing doesn't go as planned. Main story question, the central conflict of this movie is, can she overcome any personal misgivings that she has, as well as her conflict with Channing Tatum's character, and then can it go off without a hitch? Good performances overall. Scarlett Johansson does kind of ham it up in a few scenes. You get to see her in late 60s fashion if you're into that. That's one thing I like about the movie, just the attention to detail. Certain characters are wearing styles from 10 years earlier, whereas other characters who are a bit more forward culturally, creatively, they're wearing the styles of the late 60s. Channing Tatum is kind of stiff, but it fits the character. He's very serious, and you learn more about his personal setbacks. Scarlett Johansson's Kelly Jones has some setback as well. She is a lot like Don Draper. It's obvious the influence of that show on this movie, especially in the first act. Woody Harrelson's character is shady but still likable. His role in this movie reminds me of his role in Triangle of Sadness, a movie released a few years ago. It had been nominated for Best Picture. I do recommend watching it. That movie is more of I would say a dark comedy, whereas this one is more of a light comedy. I don't typically go for light or romantic comedies, but this one is better than I had expected. It's nothing groundbreaking, but I would say it is entertaining. It's comparable to The Green Book. That movie, as well as this movie, they're entertaining, but they're also very by the book, pretty tropey and safe. One thing that elevates this movie over other romantic comedies, I would say, is just the time period. I would recommend watching Apollo 11. It's a documentary released a few years ago. I'm pretty sure this movie uses some of that footage, that historical footage. I would also recommend watching First Man, directed by Damien Chazelle and starring Ryan Gosling. Watching this movie, I actually thought it might have been based on a true story. Like, it's plausible in the sense that all this activity had been classified until now. Looking back on it, I feel kind of gullible now that I realize that it's totally fictional. There's real figures involved, but the characters in the story are all fictional. But I think that's kind of what art should do. It should make you think and make you curious about what's being presented or communicated. I can see why some people might think the premise of this movie is off-putting because it just leads to fodder for conspiracy theorists, but I think it actually makes the real landing even more impressive. Once you realize that it could have been faked, at least the broadcast, and you know that it wasn't, then you appreciate all the effort that's gone into this monumental achievement. It kind of reminds me of the Assassin's Creed games, if you ever played them. That universe asserts that these otherworldly artifacts, apples of Eden, had granted humanity with the insight to do the great things that have changed the course of our species. But if you know the real history, you know that it actually had been people who had accomplished all those things, and that makes them all the more impressive. I would say give this movie a chance, even if you don't like romantic comedies. It's entertaining. It's nothing super groundbreaking, but you might like it.